Oh, that's why. Oh, okay.
Testing.
Blaven. So,
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So I want to welcome you to the MAIF Center's presentation of the Washington Working Families Tax Credit. So this is something new in Washington State for this particular year. So it just started the first time that it was available to be attained was the 1st of February, just a couple of weeks ago. So it's something that is unique to Washington State, and we want to help you, right, show you what the qualifications are, educate you on this particular tax credit, so that if you qualify, you can be someone that benefits from it. So now I'm going to turn our attention to the slides. So what is the Washington Working Family Tax Credit? So what it is it's a tax credit. It's new. It's a new annual tax credit. So it's going to be available every year, right? Year after year after year. And it's available for Washington State residents, and we're going to talk about in a minute what that means, with low to moderate income. Again, we'll talk about what that means, what low to moderate income means. Something that it does include is it includes undocumented people. So people that don't have a social security number are still eligible for this tax credit, assuming that they have an ITIN, and we can talk about that, as well as mixed status families, meaning that one member of the family does have, social security number, while other members of the family don't. And the amount that you might be eligible to receive can be as low as $50 or as much as $1,200. And that's going to depend on your family size, and it's going to depend on your income level. And so this particular credit is structured after the federal earned income tax credit. So the federal earned income tax credit is the credit that folks often get if they're getting a big refund, right? If you're getting a big refund, you're generally getting the earned income tax credit on your federal income tax. And so it's basically over the same the same concept or the same idea as that tax credit. The federal one, however, right, it excludes people that do not have social security numbers. So this particular tax credit in Washington State now includes people that are not in that situation. So how do you know if you're eligible for this particular tax credit? So the first thing that we have to have is we have to have earned income. Have to have at least $1 in earned income. So that can be wages, that can be 1099 income, that can be unemployment income. It can be a wide variety of types of income, right? So it doesn't have to be that you're like a W-2 employee, right? You can have earned income from a small business, from any type of any type of way that you can earn income. It's not limited only to like employees. So you have to have at least $1. So for example, right, like someone that's getting like Social Security, right? They're getting Social Security and they don't have any other income, right? That's not taxable income, it's not earned income. That person would not qualify because their income's zero, right? If someone had a business, but they lost money, right? They lost money in their business for that particular year and that's the only income they had, they wouldn't qualify because it's not considered to have earned income, or it's negative in that particular case. So you have to have at least $1 of earned income. Secondly, you have to be a resident of Washington State for at least 183 days, right? Like half of the year, right? One day more than half of the year, you have to have been a resident in Washington State. So that doesn't necessarily mean, right, that you didn't travel or any of those kind of things, but that your primary residence was here in Washington State for at least 6 months, right? Your primary residence was here in Washington State for 6 months. So for example, let's say that someone lives in Portland, right? And they come to work every day in Vancouver, Washington, right? So they're in Washington State for more than half the year, but they're not a resident. They don't reside in Washington State. Their residence isn't here, it's in Oregon. That person would not qualify. But if the other case was true, someone lived, for example, in Vancouver, Washington, right? And they, were commuting every day to Portland or what have you, right? Such a person would be considered eligible for this tax credit because they're a resident in Washington State for more than half of the year. Then there's another requirement, and this one depends on whether or not you have children. So if you have qualifying children, then you can be any age, right? If you have qualifying children, you can be any age. Well, you have to be over 18, so I shouldn't say that. If you have qualifying children, you can be 18 or over. If you do not have qualifying children, then you have to be between 25 and 65, right? So no qualifying children, you have to be at least 25 and not over 65 years old to be able to qualify for this particular tax credit. So again, we'll go over those three again. We have to have at least $1 in earned income. We have to be a resident of Washington State for at least 6 months of the tax year. And if we have no children, then we have to be between the ages of 25 and 65 in order to qualify. Now the big question, right? How much money can I get, right? How much money can I get back? So that's going to depend, right? The minimum amount, if you qualify, would be $50, and the maximum amount, if you qualify, would be $1,200. And that's going to depend on how many qualifying children you have. It's going to depend on the filing status that you have, right? Whether you're filing as married, filing jointly, or some other filing status. And it's going to depend on your income level. And so there's a chart that we'll go over on the next slide that talks about it. But the minimum, as I said, is $50 if you qualify, right? And so that's the big thing. You got to qualify first before you can, get any of this. So this chart that's up here to my left, kind of goes over it. So the first column on the, I guess for those looking would be on the far right-hand side, is the children or dependents claimed. And we're talking about, children that are, living in your house, obviously, that are, that you're giving, more than half of their, you're providing more than half of their, their money, right? And they're within the age requirements that the IRS has, right? So, under 18, or if they're, in college from 19 to 24 years old. So the number of children or dependents is, 0, 1, 2, 3 or more, right? Obviously, as Muslims, a lot of us have a whole bunch of children or whatever, but they cap it at 3, right? 3 or more is the same, right? You're in the same category. So then it depends on your filing status. So married, filing jointly, or anything else, right? The other ones, married, filing separately, head of household, or if you're filing single, right? Any of those, that's that column. And then to the right, or to the far right, you're going to have the maximum credit amount that's available. So when you look at these numbers, right? So for example, if you look at 0 children, married, filing jointly, it has the limit of $22,610. So that's the limit. That's like the top amount, right? So let's say that you got, $22,609, right? You're not going to qualify for the full $300. Right? There's a scale, right? There's a scale that kind of, the scale starts, it goes up to a sort of a top amount, and then it goes back down until we hit 22,611 for that group of people, in which case it phases out completely. So in order for you to get the maximum amount, right, your income is going to have to be less than this amount, right? These are the limits, these are the top amounts. But as I was mentioning earlier, the minimum amount is $50. So even if you were right at these limits, right? 22,610 with no children, right? You qualify, you would at least get, $50 in that case. If you have more children, of course it goes up, right? The more children you have, then the income limit goes up, so that if we have 3 or more, our limit is $59,187 if we're married filing jointly. And, if we're, somewhere in that range, a little bit, under that amount, then we may qualify for the full $1,200 credit. How can I apply? So we can help you, right? We can help you to apply if you qualify. So we've partnered with 3 tax companies, and what they'll do is they'll help you file your taxes for free, and they'll help you file the Working Washington Family Tax Credit if you qualify. Right? So if you qualify for this particular tax credit, you can go to one of these 3 tax preparers that we have. They'll file your regular IRS taxes for free, and they will file your Washington Working Families Tax Credit tax return for free if you qualify. And as the PowerPoint here indicates, right, it'll be, like I said, completely free. Nothing, don't have to pay anything if you qualify. But if you go to one of the tax preparers and you don't qualify for the Washington Working Families Tax Credit, well, then it's going to cost you whatever the normal fee is that the tax preparer, the tax preparer charges. So you want to be careful. You want to make sure that, right, if you're expecting to get your stuff done for free, you want to make sure that you qualify. So we have contact information. There's some flyers in the front of the center here that has more information on this. Also, you can go to mayf.org, MAYF.org, and on the front page, on the cover page of the website, you'll find the Working Washington Families tax credit information. So that page has a bunch of information regarding this, everything that I spoke about today. In addition, at the top of that page, there's two tabs at the top of the page. There's an intake form and there's a CPA form. If you click on the CPA form, you can, send your information to the tax experts, and they can, help you out with letting you know whether or not you qualify and whether or not you are able to get your tax prepared for free. Also, on that page, mayf.org, after clicking on the Washington Working Families Tax Credit page, if you scroll down near the bottom of the page, there's also the contact information for some of the tax preparers if you just want to contact them directly. In addition, on this slide, it talks about a couple of other resources. You can go to the Department of Revenue, Washington State Department of Revenue website, going to workingfamiliescredit.wa.gov. You can go to the Working Families Tax Credit Coalition website, which is wataxcredit.org. Or as I indicated before, you can go to mayf.org, and on the front page of the mayf.org website, on the left-hand side, there's the Washington Working Families Tax Credit page. You click on the links there, and you can find out everything and anything about this particular tax credit. So in conclusion, right, we have the new tax credit for residents of Washington State. It's new this year, just started in February. To qualify, you need at least $1 in earned income. You have to be a resident of Washington State for at least 6 months in the last tax year, which is the 2022 calendar year. And if you don't have any children, you have to be between the ages of 25 and 65. One last thing that is important is that you have to file your IRS tax return either at the same time or before you file for the Washington Working Family Tax Credits return, right? You can't do this one first. You can't do the Washington one first. You have to do the IRS one first, or they can be filed at the same time. And again, if you qualify, you can go to one of the tax experts on the mayf.org page, Washington Working Family Tax Credits page, and they will do your IRS return for free, and they will also do this particular tax return for free. So I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for attending our little workshop. We're going to have further workshops. One of them will be in March, and one of them will be in April if you just came on at the end of this one. Inshallah, we'll do this a couple of more times. Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Does anybody here have any questions? No questions? Okay, inshallah. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Maximum income depends on, let me go back here. Maximum income depends on your filing status and how many kids you have. So if you have 3 qualifying kids or more, and you're married filing jointly, the maximum income is like $59,187. If you have fewer children, of course, then the number goes down. And if you're filing a different status, right, you're filing single or separate from your wife or head of household or whatnot, then the numbers are sort of in the middle there. And again, all this information, everything that's in these slides is on the mayf.org website as well if you have further questions. Inshallah. Wa yakum inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.